Welcome to Coping Together, Mental Health Association of Central Florida's live web series dedicated to helping you develop coping strategies and wellness tools related to COVID-19, as well as talk about mental health. Coping Together was created in response to COVID-19's mandatory social distancing orders. This show seeks to learn and educate. We do not speak for any particular group. Overall, Coping Together serves as a platform through which we can demystify and unpack mental health concepts and hear from experts in the field. Please note that this show may discuss sensitive topics, including but not limited to sexual assault, suicide, and various traumas. If you find yourself feeling upset or struggling during any episode, listen to your body and pause the input. We will post related resources. Remember, it's okay to get help.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Coping Together. I'm your host, Faith, with the Mental Health Association of Central Florida, here to talk to you about all things related to mental health, COVID-19, and how we're all going to get through this journey together. And I know we talk a lot here on Coping Together about, the things that we've dealt with because of COVID, whether it's stress or it's, mental illness or whatever it is. And I think one thing we don't really talk about very often that I think is a very important thing is body image. And I think that COVID has kind of played a substantial role in how a lot of people may be feeling right now about their body image, especially as we, go into the holiday season, go into the new year and all that, fun time. And so I think the perfect person today to talk about this is my guest, Gabrielle Taffer. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. And Gabrielle is a private practice dietitian who is going to talk with us today about body image and COVID-19. So Gabrielle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Before I get started, do you prefer to go by Gabby, Gabrielle? How should I?
Gabby's good. Yeah, Gabby works for me.
Perfect. Okay. So I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit before we get started with our questions, just tell our audience a little bit about yourself and kind of your background.
Sure. So I am a registered and licensed dietitian. So I have a background in some clinical nutrition, so working in the hospital setting, and then I integrated into more corporate wellness media, private practice setting type dietetics. So that has really opened up the doors for me as far as seeing what the more prominent prevention issues are and kind of answering a lot of those more talked about questions versus handling things on the back end when we're kind of already sick. So it's been a journey, but I'm getting my doctorate now in clinical nutrition research so that hopefully we can help to identify areas that we need to kind of work on and fill those gaps, which this year seems to be a better time than any to do that.
Well, that is really awesome. And I wish you luck on your journey of being a doctoral candidate. And I think that that's actually a really great place for us to get started because like you said, this has been a good time of year, or this year has been a good time to get a lot of things done because we've all been kind of isolated. And I think that what goes along with that is there's obviously been a downside, and it's not just the isolation and loneliness factor, but a lot of people have not had much to do. And so a lot of times when we have that, I think we turn to kind of, I know for me, food is a comfort. And so as we go into the, holidays, I think everybody's usually kind of stressed or is like, nervous about the holidays and everything. And so I wanted to ask, why do you think that this year is different or similar to how people generally get stressed about body image around the holidays?
This year definitely is unique, but I think that there's a misconception that food should not be used as a comfort because this year alone, I know that it's been a really nice way for people to embrace their family time. It's been an activity for people to do at home. And I know everybody's talking about the COVID-19. And I think that comes from really just letting our guard down and knowing that you're in the comfort of your own home. You're not going to go out into the world and worry about what other people think. You're just enjoying. So those 5-10 pounds that you might have gained this year, with a little less activity, maybe being that gyms are closed and so forth, is really our comfort zone. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I think that food, because it has such deep roots in, our generational backgrounds, and it really does unite us. It's an opportunity to socialize. I think that almost can be emphasized this year because it has been a lifesaver for some.
That is actually a really great point. And I appreciate you kind of clarifying that because you're right. I think even myself, I will kind of, I don't want to say fall victim, but I will definitely kind of go with that mentality of, And you called it COVID-15. My sister called it the quarantine 15 recently.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's the new freshman 15. I'm like, oh no, like, please don't.
Yeah.
But it's very true. But I think you make a really great point. A lot of people it's been a way to stay either connected with their family members, or maybe even just been a way for them to find some comfort in everything that they're going through, if it's cooking, baking, whatever that might be. So I appreciate your clarification on that. And I kind of want to ask, with that, like you said, some people have, maybe gained a little bit of weight or aren't happy with where they're at because they haven't been able to be as active for whatever reason. And so I guess I want to ask you, as a dietitian, as someone who, understands that or considers the fact that, our body image does significantly impact a lot of the time what we think of ourselves. What is something that we can keep in mind as we kind of go through this holiday season?
What I definitely noticed just recently with the COVID, situation,
whatever
at hand,
call it, yeah.
We're calling it the pandemic. Being that activity has changed, I have noticed a significant increase in people who are doing more things that they like for physical activity. And I think that one of the large differences is that people are either walking more and they're walking their dogs, or they're walking to their neighbor's house. Nothing maybe that would be previously considered hard, laborious exercise, but it's increasing not only our joy, I would say, but now we're almost reintroducing ourselves to physical activity, which I think is great, because I have noticed that even myself, when I'm sitting in my living room in my PJs, and I have actually significantly fell victim to the COVID situation, because I actually was pregnant during most of it. And so now I'm trying to lose that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I chose the wrong year to do both of those things. So, on both ends, it's significantly harder than I think it would have been in the past. But what is kind of comforting is that I can just be at home. I don't have to worry about rushing back out there. I don't have to worry about, those external voices kind of, getting into our heads. And I think that it's important to note that this year specifically is a time to make sure that we are being balanced, whether that's, getting a little bit of physical activity in per day, whether that's a little bit of exercise. It's the most that we can do. And I think that that's really where credit should be given to ourselves. I don't think that it's this, you're not the outlier if you're doing those things anymore. You are just with the rest of the crowd. And I think that's where this goes. It's a universal concept. Everybody's struggling. Everybody has gained this weight. So I find comfort in that personally. So I hope that other people do as well, because if there is a time where we can reintroduce ourselves to these things, now is the time.
I think that's a really great point. And I guess I hear you saying, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like one of the things that you're definitely saying is like, we can all cut ourselves a little bit of slack.
Yes, absolutely. And I think even personally, when I have gone on, socially distanced walks around the neighborhood or things like that, of course, there were those moments of comparison where I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen myself in this light very often. I haven't seen myself in the regard of, comparing myself to others, because I haven't been around other people. And so honestly, it was kind of nice, because I immediately noticed those thoughts coming into my head. And when I went back home, they were gone. And I was back in my comfort zone. I was back in that healthy mindset of, I enjoy going walking. I don't mind waking up at 6 before work and walking the dogs because it's cold out, because it's enjoyable, not because I have to, not because I need to get my steps in today, not because I need to lose weight, simply just because it's nice out. Yeah. And I think everybody really can find solace in that right now.
No, I actually definitely agree with you. I was talking to someone not too long ago. It was a counselor who was telling me that sometimes it's easier to get things done when you shift your perspective on you want to do those things. Like, not like you have to do them. And I think that's an important aspect, is that, and I guess that's actually a really great transition into my next question for you, which is about New Year's resolutions. Because I think that a lot of times I've done it myself. You get into a New Year's resolution and you're like, I'm going to change everything, and it's going to change right away. And it's kind of almost like, it might be a poor analogy, but to me, it's almost like if you were to quit a drug or coffee, like cold turkey, you're just suddenly changing your whole life. I mean, what is your kind of opinion on that as we go into the time of New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I love them. I personally think that they're an opportunity for everybody to hit the restart button. I know we're here in Florida, so we don't have that significant change of seasons to kind of remind us that, oh, hey, winter's coming. So I think that's a good note to self as it's a new year. So again, give yourself some credit. I do think that it gives you time to mentally prepare. So if there's something that you need to, you know, if you need to change based on what your goals and perspective is, it gives you time to mentally prepare. And I like that because then you are able to be specific and intentional. And I think that's what most of nutrition and weight loss, which I prefer to use the term fat loss, is because um, a lot of my work has been done in clarifying those two. So, for example, we all set out to have our weight loss goals, but we don't actually know what we're trying to change. And so we don't set specific goals and we don't make that goal specific enough. So we
Mhm.
just say wait. But we do it with different intentions as well. So I think this year definitely gives us time to define that intention a little bit more and make sure it's one that's relevant to your everyday life. And with that, the New Year's goals or your New Year resolution, it can be foolproof. It can be something that you look forward to every year. It can be something that you know that you have succeeded in the past at, or that you can succeed this time because you can prepare.
I fully agree with you there. And I actually love that point that you make because it is kind of a chance. I like the concept of the restart button. I think, especially with us going into 2021, a lot of us feel like we could use a restart. But I guess my hesitancy with New Year's resolutions tends to be I feel like we can get really harsh on ourselves really fast. And so I guess, do you have any advice kind of going into, especially after 2020 and how rough it's been, any advice on going into this new year, these resolutions, this kind of thing on, I guess, keeping in mind that cutting yourself some slack?
Yeah. I can speak a little bit from perspective because after I had my daughter this fall, I was absolutely, in this very crazy place in my head where I was like, oh my gosh, I not only have baby weight to lose, but I also have COVID weight to lose. And I think allowing myself a little bit of grace was not only very humbling when I tried to start working out 2 weeks after I had a baby. Um, I realized that I need to take a step back because everything that I was trying to do was not only too hard, it just wasn't I wasn't meeting myself where I was at. So I had these high aspirations for my future self and I just wasn't there yet. So I think I had to have a really deep internal conversation with myself and say, you will get there when you get there. But really I was trying to do these workouts that were just way too hard, and so I got discouraged, and so it was just a deflating process. And so I would caution anybody who finds themselves in the same boat to really let that story maybe resonate with you and to try something that, even if it's not the absolute hardest thing, if it's not this crash diet or this super hard workout, it doesn't have to be and it shouldn't be, because you really want to make long-term lifestyle changes, and those start and they are maintained with small habits. So that was something I had to kind of reteach myself.
I definitely think you make an excellent point though. And like even for me, I think that as a person who's had those same kind of struggles, it really resonates with me a little bit because it is kind of hard when you start off. You want to do the really intense workout. You want to say, "Oh, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be great at it." And then I don't know about you, but for me, day two comes around, and I am in so much pain. You can actually hurt yourself from overdoing it too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really appreciate you kind of putting some insight on that for us and also sharing your personal story because I think that that kind of helps make it a little like it makes it real for myself and for our viewers. We all have this struggle or we've all had our own struggles, and I think what I'm hearing from you is that it's important for us to all kind of go at our own pace. We know our bodies best and we know what our bodies can handle.
Absolutely. And I think I had to, again, have that conversation with myself, especially being a dietitian and being one who has all of this experience in trying to tell everybody else, this is what worked for me, or this is what worked for other clients. This is what the textbooks say. But really putting that into practice was a lot harder than I thought. And I think that, really bringing that intention and setting that intention for myself was the absolute only way I was going to succeed, because the textbook told me one thing and putting that into practice was something else. So,
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you talking with us a little bit about this topic. Was there anything else that you wanted to go over with our audience before I let you go?
nothing specific other than, just be gentle with yourself and, make sure you're hydrated, make sure you're getting enough sleep, and make sure that you're definitely engaging in a little bit of self care every day, because that looks different to everybody. So, aside from body image and nutrition, just a gentle reminder.
Absolutely. Thank you again so much for being here. To all of you at home, thank you for watching. I'm going to include some information in the comments below with Gabby's website, any other information, so you can get more information on what she does. If you are having any troubles, feeling like you might need any help, mental health wise or anything, please feel free to reach out to the Mental Health Association of Central Florida. We would love to get you connected with some resources, as it is okay to get help. That's something that we always want to encourage and remind our viewers. And with that being said, thank you again, Gabby, for being here. Thank you to you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Thank you.